Hi and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of On the Sofa. I'm Monja from our Edinburgh store, and tonight joining me is Kalyn again to discuss Clan Macpherson.
Hi, I'm Kalyn, joining you from New York City. In addition to acting as ScotlandShop's resident clan researcher, I'm also a graduate student in history at Fordham University with a focus in Scottish history. So I absolutely love being able to immerse myself in it, both in my studies and at work. We actually have a whole section on our website dedicated to each of the Scottish clans. So if you're interested in finding out more about the history of your clan, then we certainly recommend taking a look.
Absolutely. And there are actually over 500 clan and family associations registered around the world. There are huge amounts, so there's something out there for you. And we do love learning bits of history and hearing from our customers, and particularly how they explore their heritage and trace their roots. We love, my favourite part, digging into the often bloody and brutal stories, highlighting the lesser known bits of Scottish clan history and the work of the clan societies around the world. So please let us know if you've got anything more to add. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. So this past month, we've been celebrating all things Clan Macpherson. So join us tonight as we delve into this clan's history and discover some of their most intriguing stories from the past and the present. We'll be learning about some of their most famous events in history, famous faces, old and new, and so much more. We always welcome your input, so if you're associated with Clan Macpherson and you have stories to share or questions to ask, please let us know in the comments.
Absolutely. So let's jump in to where it all started. So Macpherson is actually a Highland clan with deep roots in Badenoch. So this came to be in 1309, way back when, and it is our favourite Scottish gentleman, Kalyn, Robert the Bruce, that requested Clan Macpherson carry out a plot to defeat his enemy, Clan Common, in exchange for ownership over the territory of Badenoch. So the Mcphersons were successful, and their chief inherited the land as promised. The territory of Clan Macpherson covered the southeast of Loch Ness, but the Macphersons were also part of a federation of other clans, which was called the Chattan Confederation, or just called Clan Chattan. But we will go into more detail on that a bit later. So this alliance, which originated during the Middle Ages, it goes way back, very old clan. This alliance actually included the Macintoshes, the McGilvarys, the Davidsons, and Shaws, just to name a few. So a huge group of people. And this meant that Clan Macpherson extended their influence beyond just Badenoch as well.
Yes, so that's very interesting. I've actually never heard of sort of clans coming together like that during that time. In the present day, yes, but during that time, so I'm excited to circle back to that later. For now, let's talk about the name Mcpherson. So the Gaelic for Mcpherson translates to son of the parson, Mach meaning son of, and parson is another word for clergyman. So the story behind this is that because the Celtic Church permitted priests to marry during this time, so the progenitor, meaning the first person that started a specific clan, the progenitor of the chiefs of Clan Macpherson is believed to have been a man named Murdo Badenoch, who was actually the priest of Canusi in Badenoch. So essentially, this man was a priest, a clergyman, or a parson, and he was the first person of Clan Macpherson. So this essentially means that after him, the Macphersons are ancestrally the sons of this clergyman or parson. So we get Mcpherson, son of parson.
It's interesting that they can, a lot of clans we talk about, it's like, oh, their origins are quite unknown, but it's interesting that this one we've got quite a clear origin almost, and so far back as well.
Yeah, I think it probably just, it comes from the name being so clear, because normally it's kind of just, um, you know, the mock, son of, and then like a
Mhm.
name,
Yeah,
rather than like the name meaning something. So like for this one, it's just very clear they know what parson means.
yeah,
Um,
no, that is true. That's
but
yeah.
yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. It must be cool to be a Mcpherson and kind of know exactly, that you're the son of the parson. So it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, while we're talking about members of the clan, the current leader of the clan isn't actually a clergyman. The current chief is James Brody Mcpherson of Clooney. So he succeeded his late father, Sir William Mcpherson of Clooney, in February 2021. So very recently, actually. And he is the 28th hereditary chief, and naturally, as he should be, is very passionate about all things Scottish. So as such, he counts golf, rugby, and fishing amongst his most treasured activities. And there's plenty of that to be done in Scotland for sure.
Yeah.
So while Newton Castle, Blairgowrie in Perthshire, has been the home of the Macphersons since 1787, it's a very old one, it is still the family home, but he actually lives with his wife in the Scottish borders, not too far from head office down in Duns. So Amy actually sat down with James earlier in the month to talk about his role as chief. So definitely head over to YouTube. Sorry, I don't know where all my words are going this week. Head over to YouTube to watch the full interview. Lots of interesting facts and insight into being a chief. Really, it's I suppose it's quite exciting and quite interesting. So yeah, Amy had a good chat with him. So we'll watch on YouTube definitely.
Manya, you're still getting all your difficult Scottish words right. So
That's
that's
all
what
that
counts here.
matters.
That's all that
Yeah.
matters. Um,
If I can't
but
do
yeah,
the basic English ones, at least I can do the Scottish.
um, right. Yeah, I think it's so great when you hear about chiefs who are so passionate about the heritage. I would imagine most of them are, but it just seems like the ones that we are able to connect with are really, really into it. And that's it. It also explains, I guess, sort of how these clans and the societies have really stayed so relevant.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
that's cool. It's a great interview. Definitely recommend watching it also. Um, Moving on to a Mcpherson Castle,
Love
Clooney
Castle.
Castle, which by the way, as I have learned, there is more than one Clooney Castle. This one is very specific.
Ah,
Yes, you need to look. It's like Clooney Castle of Badenoch, and then there's like another one. I forget where the other one is, but it's yeah, two Clooney castles, really strange. But this one is the historic seat of the Mcpherson clan via a man named Andrew Mcpherson. He was essentially the first Mcpherson of Clooney. If you noticed, the current chief is also Mcpherson of Clooney. So since Andrew Mcpherson, that title has continued on. But
interesting.
so members of Clan Macpherson likely existed in the area surrounding the present day building since maybe the 14th century. But it wasn't until the 17th century that Clooney Castle is thought to have come under the ownership of the clan.
Okay.
After the Jacobite uprising of 1745, the older version of the castle burned down, as often we see following the Jacobite uprising. But Duncan Macpherson regained the land and he built a new Clooney Castle on the grounds. And it is that early 19th century mansion that stands today. The Macphersons held the castle until 1943, which is a long time for, normally when we talk about like, this is the historic seat of this clan, normally it's kind of like, in the 14th century and then it ended kind of thing. But, they had it until 1943. Today it's privately owned, so you can't go and visit it, but there's still some connection there, given that, like I said, the current chief is still of Clooney, so there's still that connection there, even if the clan doesn't own the castle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's cool.
No, it's well, I mean, it's rare that we've got a standing building to talk about. Like you said,
right? Like, first of all,
yeah, absolutely. So very exciting for the Mcphersons.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the clan crest as well now. So the Clan Macpherson crest features a sitting wildcat, which is amazing. I love a wildcat. And their motto, which reads, "Touch not the cat, but a glove." So "but" here means without, and the glove of the wildcat is reference to the animal's footpad. So if the cat is ungloved, this means that its claws are unsheathed, and as such, the motto serves as a very valid warning to those who would threaten the clan. So it's quite interesting the way that they went about that, isn't it, with like the wildcat claws and everything?
Yeah, actually, I think it's pretty like prevalent among the clan members today. I remember seeing something recently on Facebook where it was like, I think it was like someone shared an image in one of the Mcpherson Facebook groups, and it was like, maybe the crest had been designed wrong or something, and someone's comment was like, the cat's about to like be unsheathed or something, like, they were using it to kind of say, you're gonna get slashed by the cat or whatever. So I think that's kind of fun that the clan members kind of know what it means, first of all, because I didn't know what it meant just by reading it, and then like can use it in common terminology. So that's pretty funny. So Monja, you mentioned earlier that we would tell you a bit about the Chattan Confederation.
Yeah.
So Clan Macpherson is one of the clans that make up this confederation, often known as Clan Chattan, as you said. And though clans have often made alliances throughout history, this clan is unique in that it was an acknowledged confederation of 12 separate Scottish clans, each having their own clan chief recognized under Scottish law, but who chose to unite under the authority of one overarching chief. That's not typically something that would have happened. And during the early medieval period, the chief of Clan Chattan had a son who actually became the first chief of Clan Macpherson, that that parson, that clergyman that we were talking about before. So Chief Mcpherson was actually forced by Kenneth MacAlpin, the very famous first king of the Scots. He was forced to resettle in Loch Ness, which I don't know why, but it sounds as though he, the king of the Scots wasn't too pleased with him being wherever he was. So that's, if anyone has any information on that, I would love to hear about that, because
absolutely sounds like there's love a bit of historic tension between see maybe why and what was going on at that time.
And Monja, if you'll notice, I sort of gave up my most of the time, one of my favorite parts is talking about battles, especially when we get to talk about Jacobites, but I have relinquished that to you. It's that's my gift to you.
Very generous. So Clan Macpherson, as with most of the clans, were involved in a great many battles through history. So, they are a very old clan. So starting 1370, there was the Battle of Invernahaven. In 1594, the Battle of Glenlivet, and the 17th century Scottish Civil War, to name just a very few of them. Feels like they just love to get involved with different things. However, their most famous involvements were, of course, with the Jacobite uprising. And that was Clan Macpherson actually did support the Jacobites in both 1715 and 1745. So they were on the side that most people look back on and favour slightly there. So for the latter battle, Chief Ewan Mcpherson of Clooney was an important leader and fought at the Clifton Moor skirmish. And it's actually also noted that 300 Mcphersons took part in the Atholl raids of March 1746 as well. So luckily for Clooney, after the Jacobite defeat at the Battle of Culloden, which he and his men very conveniently missed, and again, I would like to know a little bit more about that one.
Yeah.
But he was able to actually escape capture by government troops for an insane 9 years, despite having a reward of £1,000 on his head. So as you can imagine, that's a decent sum of money now, but in the 18th century, that would be a huge amount. So I don't know where he was hiding or what he was up to for those 9 years, but he did well.
Actually, there's there's some legends surrounding somewhere called Clooney's Cave, where apparently he hid. Also, apparently, Bonnie Prince Charlie hid. I don't think people know where it is, though. Very mysterious. Again, if anyone has any insider information, I'm very I would really like to know about this cave.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's clearly very well hidden. So
yeah, I don't know if he was hiding there the whole time, but
sort of in and out, maybe.
Yeah. So if you are a Mcpherson watching and you're wondering how you can maybe get more involved in your clan, obviously you have a great clan chief who really wants to, support the growth of the clan. So one thing you can do is think about joining a clan society. So the Clan Macpherson Association, which I've seen quite a bit abbreviated just as the CMA, which sounds really cool. It's an international organization. So I think that means that there's maybe a North American branch, maybe an Australian branch, that kind of thing. It's open to all Mcphersons wherever you are, and the society seeks to foster the spirit of the clan, connect members of the clan all around the world, and encourage the study and preservation of the history, folklore, literature, music, treasures, and traditions of Clan Macpherson. So for anyone with a connection and interest in Clan Macpherson, the CMA is a fantastic place to start exploring. I kind of wish I was a Mcpherson.
I know.
I would like to join it.
There's a lot I'd like to learn with the folklore and the treasures in particular.
Yeah. Speaking of treasures, there is also, of interest that we should note. There is a museum that it's the Clan Macpherson Museum. It's really cool. And it's part Highland artifacts and things, but then a lot of Clan Macpherson things. So that's also in addition to Clooney Castle, that would be another place that that you should definitely check out, especially you guys over there in Scotland. So Monja, switching over to tartan, can you tell us more about the different terms associated with tartan, like that we'll see, like ancient and modern, and how those came about?
Absolutely. So basically, before 1860, all fabrics were coloured using animal and vegetable dyes. So that produced really quite soft colours, which is typical of the ancient tartans. The pattern or the set does remain the same across all variations of a single tartan, and it's just the colours that change. So that is when, sort of post 1860, chemical dyes were introduced. So they kept the same pattern, and you just ended up with stronger, bolder colours, and it also made them more consistent. So you could get repetitive sort of colours instead of like, oh, this one's a little bit of a darker green and a bit of a lighter green, because it's slightly unpredictable when you're doing natural dyeing. So the Mcpherson tartans in particular have got a huge range of 10 variations. So that includes the modern, ancient, weathered and hunting. And each features, like we said, sort of a variety of different colours and really beautiful options. So I've got a few here so I can show you a selection. So we've got the modern here. So I'll hold that one up. It's nice, sort of a deeper red with greens, blues, yellows, a bit of everything in there. It looks like a very tartan, I think.
It definitely does. When I see a red like that, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, definitely. And then just to contrast, we've got the ancient. So it's the lighter colour. So that's more of an orange, and then lighter colours of green, blue going through, which is nice.
Yeah, I do like
then
that.
We have the dress. So basically replacing a lot of the colours with a white. It's got nice light tartan. And then for my favourite, which is actually the scarf I'm wearing here, is the hunting modern, which is a nice sort of grey and black with a blue and a red.
I love that one because from afar it often looks pink.
It does. The sort of blue and red merge together a little bit.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love that one.
It's well, that's why I chose this scarf in particular, representing the Mcphersons.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. I love seeing all of the tartans. It's so great. It's so great for you there to kind of just have all the tartans at your disposal. Oh, absolutely. Amy actually, so she says that that the hunting modern is also the chief's favorite. So
amazing.
There we go. I guess we all have good taste
then.
Right. So now let's move on to another one of my favorite parts, our famous faces. So I'll start us off with my absolute favorite Mcpherson, James, better known as Jamie, who not connected to the current chief. I'm not, this is not the current chief, which is important to note because this Jamie Mcpherson is rather infamous. Mm-hmm. He was from the 17th century, from Aberdeenshire, and came into the spotlight as a robber, which, the spotlight, not typically something that robbers like to come into.
Not traditionally.
Yeah. So in any case, Jamie Mcpherson was also a great composer of fiddle tunes. And this is where his story gets really good, at least for us, maybe not for him. As you might have guessed, he was eventually caught and he faced the gallows. And it is said that just before he met his death, he composed and performed a pretty famous tune nowadays called Mcpherson's Lament, also sometimes called Mcpherson's Rant. And when he offered his fiddle to any member of the Mcpherson clan who would play it in his honor during his wake and no one volunteered, he transformed into what I've dubbed as the Scottish Hulk, and he broke his fiddle in a rage. And as he threw this broken fiddle at his clansmen, he is said to have shouted, no one else shall play Jamie Mcpherson's fiddle. And, now I know that this sounds slightly far-fetched, but you can actually see that very fiddle, which is still broken, on view at the Clan Macpherson Museum near Newtonmore that I was talking about before. So
amazing.
Yeah, so it's here he is kind of at the gallows, like getting ready, and he's like composing this song and playing this song, and then kind of just chucks it at the people. So
It's, I mean,
pretty
it's
wild.
very, yeah, I feel like I can picture it very vividly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Scottish folk is basically what I'm picturing. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure that I've heard the tune before, and it's just, it's really interesting when you hear these stories that sound completely just like folk tales, but then there's the broken fiddle. So exactly. So what about you, Monja? Who did you enjoy learning about this month?
So I enjoyed learning about another musician, a bit more recent. So I liked Donald Mcpherson, who is one of the most impressive and awarded competitive solo bagpipers. So not just of the 20th century, but of all time. So I don't know, the Mcphersons have got some music going through them. It's pretty impressive. So it turns out his incredible piping skills ran in the family. Donald was born in 1922 in Glasgow, and he was first taught by his father Ian, who was an army piper during World War One. So I suppose sort of passed that love on to his son. At 12, he joined the Boys Brigade Pipe Band, but he would soon go on to much more impressive feats. His career as a competitive piper began really early and was immediately a success. So at just 15, very young for such crazy success, I would think, he entered his first solo competition at famed Highland Gathering, where he won both the under-15 march, Strathspey and Reel, as well as the under-18 Badenoch. So a huge, impressive thing, especially for his very first solo competition, to take home 2 prizes. It's not bad going.
Yeah.
So throughout the course of his competitive career, he earned 15 first places in the senior Pubera event for former gold medal winners at Oban, 9 first places at the class competition at Inverness, and 6 first places at the former winners' March Strathspey and Reel event in Inverness. A mouthful, but that is an incredible amount of gold medals, I would say.
Yeah.
Trophies. I don't know what you get for being a piper. Probably a trophy, I would say, over a medal. But very impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't really not that I know a ton about pipers, but I can't really think of a piper more illustriously successful than that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the most decorated piper of all time, it would seem. So
for sure. For sure. So if you didn't know, we absolutely love reading and sharing customer stories as much as we like sharing all of this history and, history of the various famous faces and castles. We love reading and sharing customer stories, all of your stories. So if you have a Mcpherson story that you're just dying to share, please email us or tag us on social media.
Absolutely. Yeah, we would love to hear them. We like seeing all the photos and everything as well, and seeing how you embrace your clan into your life, or the tartans and everything.
Yeah.
So to finish us off, we have a couple of questions. So Kalyn, do you want to start us off with the first one?
Yes. So Karen wants to know what the Clan Macpherson plant badge is. Okay, so the plant badge is white heather, which symbolizes protection and good luck. The meaning behind this plant badge comes from ancient poems by the bard Ossian, which were published in the mid-18th century by Scottish poet James Mcpherson. Another James Mcpherson, unrelated to the other James Mcpherson.
It's a family name, clearly.
It is. But it's likely that the clan just really liked this nice connection and decided to adopt the lucky plant as their own.
I think that's as good a reason as any. If you're going to choose a plant, might as well have a lucky one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got another question from Robin, who's asking if the clan is associated with any lochs. So as you mentioned earlier, the Macphersons do have a connection to Loch Ness, which, I mean, can you name a more famous loch from Scotland? It's probably the best one to be connected with. And that's all through their link to the Chatham Confederation. So the founder of the Clan Chatham was also the grandfather of the original Mcpherson, as we mentioned before, and he settled on the east side of Loch Ness. So it all comes back around, it all links in. But yeah, if you're Mcpherson, definitely go see Loch Ness. That's your sort of loch in Scotland.
For sure. Well, so there we have it. We hope that you've enjoyed learning about Clan Macpherson with us. And now filled with all of this knowledge, if you would like to test that knowledge, just keep a lookout for our Mcpherson quiz coming soon, which is always fun. I love seeing, people, letting us know how many answers they've gotten right. It's really fun. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. And thank you, Monja.
Thank you, Kalyn. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.